Your neighbor just left Aldi yesterday with 4 full bags, spending less than 30 euros, and you didn't notice a thing. But what was in those bags reveals a silent strategy that could protect you when others panic. People who shop like this don't panic. They observe. And right now, keen observation is the rarest resource available. The National Institute of Statistics has documented a cumulative increase in food prices exceeding 20% since 2020, with no sign of a sustained reversal. Meanwhile, nearly 1 in 2 individuals cannot cope with an unexpected expense of 5 euros without incurring debt. These aren't mere survey figures. They are concrete data from public studies. The people silently buying these items for under 2 euros aren't bankers or paranoid preppers. They are nurses, retirees, parents, artisans, everyday individuals who've done the math and didn't like the outcome. This list reveals 5 specific items, all under 2 euros, that informed shoppers are buying right now, especially before April 15th. Each item has been selected for its documented utility in real-world crisis scenarios. One of them costs less than 35 cents, fits in any drawer, and has documented use in disasters across multiple continents. Most people walk past it every week without a second glance. Stay until the end. Item number 1 truly earns its spot. Here at Survival Sentinel, we unearth knowledge others prefer to leave buried. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Before diving into the items, let's briefly explain why April 15th is a significant date for this list. This isn't clickbait. Based on current trajectories, raw material prices, and the known quarterly readjustment cycles of discount retailers, several product categories on this list are poised for price increases. This includes items like coffee, raw materials for vinegar, chemical preservatives, and dry foods. Those who buy these items today pay today's price. This is the only strategy that consistently works. Purchasing before prices rise, not waiting for them to increase in the hope they'll eventually drop. Let's begin. Number 5. White vinegar. A 1-liter bottle costs around 60 cents at Aldi. Forget using it for salad dressing. That association is actively costing you something. A bottle of distilled white vinegar is an 8% acetic acid solution with more documented applications than products costing 10 times as much. Acetic acid has been recognized for decades as an effective antimicrobial agent against a broad spectrum of bacteria and certain viruses. A 30-minute exposure on a non-porous surface yields a measurable reduction in pathogens, all without harsh chemicals, specialized protective equipment, or special ventilation. White vinegar is the only food-grade substance with a documented ability to dissolve limescale from water containers and storage equipment. This is essential when your water supplies need to last for weeks. Additionally, it kills approximately 80% of all mold species upon direct contact. This information comes from research published in Environmental Microbiology, not a mere advertisement. Let's continue. Number 4. Baking soda. A 500-gram packet costs less than 150 euros at Aldi. Don't think of it just as a baking ingredient. That's simply where marketing has pigeonholed it. Sodium bicarbonate is a Class B and Class C extinguishing agent. The very same compound in this packet, costing less than 2 euros, is the active ingredient in commercial dry chemical fire extinguishers. When thrown onto a grease or electrical fire, it displaces oxygen through the same mechanism, requiring no specialized equipment. Clinical protocols also document bicarbonate as a treatment for acidosis. For water treatment, it corrects pH after chlorination and removes the unpleasant taste that often deters people from drinking treated water, especially when they need it most. You'll find it in the baking aisle. Grab several packets. If you're still watching, You already know more about crisis preparedness than 99% of the people on your street. Let's continue. Number 3. Iodized table salt. A 500-gram packet costs around 35 cents at Aldi, possibly 50 cents depending on your region. The Geological Survey classifies sodium chloride as geologically stable. It doesn't degrade. There's no expiration date, ever. Salt extracted today has the exact same chemical composition as salt extracted 1,000 years ago. Your body needs sodium for nerve transmission, muscle contraction, fluid balance, and cardiac function. These are the 4 biological functions that keep you conscious and alive. A sodium deficiency, clinically known as hyponatremia, can lead to confusion, cramps, loss of consciousness, and in severe cases, coma. This isn't a comfort nutrient. It's a survival nutrient. In situations where you're sweating, without access to your usual supplements, rationing water, or consuming food poor in salt, your sodium levels will drop rapidly. Symptoms can appear within days, not weeks. Elderly individuals are particularly vulnerable, as are children. You won't see it coming until confusion sets in. 500 grams of salt can preserve several kilograms of meat, extending its shelf life from days to months without refrigeration. This salting technique was used for centuries in France, in the Southwest for ham, in Brittany for salted butter, and in Savoie for lard, long before the invention of the refrigerator. It works today exactly as it did in the 15th century. Your great-grandparents knew this. Their children didn't always pass it on. That's why many of us overlook it today. Salt keeps you alive and dramatically extends the shelf life of all your other food stores. It works for you while you sleep, requiring no electricity, no maintenance, no rotation, and no temperature control. For just 35 cents, with an unlimited shelf life, it offers the highest value per euro on this entire list, yet it remains the most ignored item in nearly every preparedness discussion. Look for basic, private label salt in the spice aisle. No need for fancy pink Himalayan salt here. Aim for at least 3 packets per household. Number 2. Matches. A large box of approximately 300 matches costs between 1.50 and 2 euros, depending on the format. Or you can find a pack of 10 standard boxes for the same price. Electronic lighters fail in the cold. This isn't an opinion, it's physics. Butane pressure drops below its effective ignition temperature, around 0 degrees Celsius. In freezing conditions, precisely when fire is most critical for warmth or cooking, a standard lighter becomes unpredictable. It might click, it might spark, but it won't produce a stable flame. This is a detail no lighter advertisement will ever tell you. It's a detail you discover at 2 a.m. in a freezing, powerless home, with trembling hands, as a storm cuts the village's electricity. Matches ignite through mechanical friction, independent of ambient conditions. They work just as well at -20 degrees Celsius as they do at 20 degrees Celsius. Briefly dipped in candle wax or heat-sealed, matches remain functional even after complete immersion in water. This is a survival technique, documented in French scouting manuals for decades, still taught to 8-year-olds today. What our children still learn, many adults have forgotten. 300 ignition sources for less than 2 euros. Compare this to disposable lighters, typically sold in packs of 4 for 3 euros, which produce around 1,000 ignitions per unit but fail below 0 degrees Celsius. Matches aren't just a plan B. They're the plan B of your plan B. They're the reliable tool you turn to when your preferred option has failed you. They won't abandon you. They don't need batteries, and they don't care about the weather. Find them in the cleaning supplies or barbecue aisle, depending on the store. Keep at least 3 large boxes per household, stored in an airtight container away from humidity. Humidity is a match's only true enemy. Number 1. Multivitamins. A packet of 100 tablets private label costs between €1.50 and €2 at Aldi. Here's a biological reality that no one talks about on morning shows. When people resort to emergency food stocks, rice, pasta, oatmeal, canned goods, they get calories and won't starve. However, they immediately develop micronutrient deficiencies. This is the critical difference between merely surviving and truly functioning, between simply existing and being able to make sound decisions when it matters most. A vitamin C deficiency can produce scurvy symptoms within 4 to 6 weeks, extreme exhaustion, intense joint pain, loose teeth, and impaired healing of even minor wounds. This isn't a historical curiosity from 17th century sailors. It's an active vulnerability in your biology right now. Royal Navy sailors died of scurvy within 3 months at sea because they ate exactly the kind of monotonous food that fills most emergency cupboards. A vitamin D deficiency accelerates during prolonged confinement without access to sunlight. It simultaneously compromises immune function, bone density, and mood regulation, precisely the 3 systems you need to preserve during a crisis. A thiamine, vitamin B1, deficiency produces severe neurological symptoms in just a few weeks. Confusion, memory impairment, and difficulty making clear decisions. All these symptoms might resemble fatigue or stress. However, they aren't stress. They are biological deficiencies that won't resolve with a good night's sleep or herbal tea. They are resolved with 1 tablet a day, and you can stock a 100-day supply for less than €2. A pack of 100 multivitamins for under €2 offers 100 days of complete micronutrient coverage. That's less than 1.5 cents per day, roughly the cost of a single candy. It's the cheapest insurance policy your biology could ever buy. Look for the private label brand in the health and beauty section at Aldi. This is number 1 on our list, not just for its price, but for the invisible yet critical problem it solves. So, there you have the 5 items. Vinegar for less than €1, replacing an entire cabinet of disinfectants. A packet of baking soda that serves as both a fire extinguisher and an emergency water treatment. Salt that can replace a refrigerator for months when power is out. Matches that work when your lighter fails at -5 degrees Celsius. And a bottle of multivitamins to protect your biology during 3 months of a monotonous diet. All for less than €2 each. All found in the same Aldi store. All ignored by 99% of customers who walk past them every week, their eyes fixed on weekly promotions and new products at the end of the aisles. All for less than €10 if you buy one of each. A single €10 bill covers all 5 items, and when left at the back of a cupboard, it becomes a silent insurance policy against scenarios you'd rather not imagine. People who silently buy these items aren't preparing for an apocalypse. They're preparing for a 3-day power outage after a storm, like the one that hit parts of Europe in late 2023. They're preparing for a week without normal supplies due to a logistics strike or refinery blockade, or for a month where prices climb faster than their wages. These are all scenarios that have already occurred in many regions over the last decade, sometimes 2 or 3 times. They're not necessarily smarter than you. They've simply done the math. They've looked at their bills, seen shelves empty when an alert flashes on TV, and decided that €10 is a far better investment than mere hope. The difference between them and you begins now, not when a crisis hits. On your next visit to the supermarket, while prices are still what they are today and not what they might be after April 15th, observe the 2 types of people in line at the checkout. There are those who bought what they needed for the week, and then there are those who bought what they needed to last 3 months, just in case the next week mirrors a situation like Storm Sierran. You can't distinguish between the 2 groups with the naked eye unless you glance at the contents of their shopping cart. In the comments below, tell me which item you'll be buying this week. I read every comment, and your choice matters. Not just to you, but to other readers too. The person who reads your comment after you might learn something I couldn't have told them. These 5 items are just the beginning. Here at Survival Sentinel, we provide comprehensive knowledge, including quantities per person, rotation calculations, scenario-specific lists, and what civil defense truly recommends, beyond what's found in their public brochures. If you think this doesn't concern you, ask yourself these questions. Where were the bottled water shelves in your store during the 3 days following Storm Sierran? How long did the pasta aisle last? The week transporters were blocked? Who showed up at whose house to borrow batteries and candles? These aren't fictional scenarios. These are recent memories. And next time, there won't be any more warning. If this video made a difference for you, please subscribe and share it. Every share helps unearth knowledge that others prefer to keep buried. The next vault of information will open soon, and what it contains is even more critical. What civil defense doesn't tell you, but what you absolutely should know. It's what your neighbor already knew yesterday when she left Aldi with her 4 full bags, and now you know it too.